feel the fear and do it anyway.
Hello again, and a warm welcome back to In Search of 42. My name is, of course, Felix Becker, and I am your very own success coach on this journey we call life. This week, I am excited to share with you my conversation with Vivian Vo, a fellow physician and coach. Yes, she also has turned to life coaching. Her specialty is positive intelligence coaching, and exactly what that is, you will hear in our conversation together. As before, if you like this stuff, please like, subscribe, rate, and review, and share this episode with a friend. This little action on your part helps me reach more people. And at the end of the day, the more people we can reach, the more people we can help. People just like you who are tuning in to this episode. But let's get all of this mumbo jumbo out of the way and jump right into my conversation with Vivian Vo. All right, awesome, Vivian. So nice to see you again. The point of these conversations is to highlight who people are, what they do, and how they can help others. And you obviously have a fantastic story to tell. So let's get right into it. Who are you?
Who am I? Well, I'm Vivian, and I'll start there. I am multiple things. I'm a positive intelligence life coach. I'm a doctor. I'm also a yoga teacher. I'm also a cat mom, a wife. Um, yeah, I'm a personal development and growth junkie and enthusiast, all sorts of
Yeah,
things.
that's so many dimensions, and I think that really highlights the human experience, how many dimensions there are to each and every one of us. So tell us a little bit more about your backstory. How did you get to be this amazing person you are today?
My backstory. Well, I was born and raised in the Bay Area. I'm a daughter of Vietnamese war refugees, and growing up, I it was basically we had to survive in a lot of ways. The immigrant experience, the refugee experience. Um, having to just focus on achieving and like finding security and stability in this country. And so that led me to being pursuing being a doctor. And once I became a doctor and like I finished all my training, that was when I felt like I didn't have any direction just because my that was my goal for such a long time ever since I was a kid. And then once I achieved it, it was hard to, I don't know, it felt kind of empty because I didn't know what's next for me. And that's when it led me to all these other interests and just exploration. Okay, so now that me and my family, I made my family proud. Now that I'm there, I can see what makes me happy and like I have choice, I have freedom now. And so that's what led me to having all these other interests. And that's when I went down this personal growth journey and eventually I love having like one-on-one conversations. That's what led me to pursuing coaching.
You mentioned so many keywords there that resonate with me. Um, I too went to medical school, became a doctor. Uh, really not because it's something I wanted to do. I actually wanted to become an airline pilot and fly the big jets, but because of what other people recommended I should do. I love helping people, but I've never been able to really help people the way I truly want to or can do best in medicine. And like you, I was chasing that achievement, right? And I wasn't really pursuing my own purpose as a result of that. And so that's why I mean, it's like that really resonates with me on that same level. I went to medicine for the wrong reasons. I do love helping people. It's just not the avenue that really worked for me. And it wasn't then later through my own personal growth journey that I discovered myself, figure out what am I really here for? What can I do and how can I help people best, right? So your story there highlights so many important details that I've been through myself. So let me ask you about the doctoring. What was that like? Wait, are you still doing it? What was your career like? What did you do? How did you get into that?
Sure. So yes, I'm still practicing and I me and my husband, we actually took like a 10-month trip in Asia. And throughout that whole trip, I would tell him, if only I could just practice once or 2 or 3 days a week, that would be the perfect schedule for me. Because doing like as you know, like medicine is not our whole identity. It's not my whole identity. So I wanted a more balanced schedule where I can do this and also do my other things too. So I'm still practicing and I manifested my ideal schedule. I'm working like 1 to 3, anywhere from 1 to 3 days a week, which is ideal for me. And it started when I was a child and I loved my Shih Tzu. And I told my mom, I want to be a veterinarian. Like, what professions are there that helps animals? And she was like, no, you got to treat people instead. So that's basically what led me down the path of shadowing, having this goal, listening to my teachers. Like, okay, so if you want to do this, you have to take these classes, and then whatever specialty, you should probably shadow somebody. And then that's what led me down like being a doctor.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't have that from an early childhood experience. Medicine really isn't something that came into my life as an idea even until high school. So I never had that. Like since childhood, I've always been one. That's never been me, and a lot of that actually just ironically as a side note. So I grew up in Germany, and I was a terrible student when I was in Germany. And in order to get into medical school in Germany, you have to be a straight A student, and at least back in my days when I was there, you also had to have I think 6 years of Latin in school. And I started taking Latin, but I definitely did not have the anywhere near the grade point average that I would need. So it was not even something that had presented itself as an option to me ever growing up, and so that's why it was never on my radar as such. Um, so, how long were you going through the practice of medicine then after school before you realized there should be more for you out there?
Less than a year. Honestly, the day I finished my residency, it was honestly like when I finished med school, it was a proud moment. I was very happy, like I was surrounded by my loved ones. But the day I finished residency, I didn't feel that same feeling. And I think it's because I always had a goal. Okay, so after school, I know I'm going into residency. After residency, it just felt like a job and then that's it. And then so yeah, it was that day that I graduated residency, maybe even during residency sometimes I wanted to quit. And that's when I just went full force with other things that I was interested in, like teaching yoga helped ease my anxiety during medical school. And it eased my anxiety. So I was like, okay, why not try that? And then so I became a yoga teacher. And I love yoga still. I love being a practitioner and a student. So I teach once a week now. So that's something that is fine with me. It's not something I want to teach every day. I'd rather be a student most of the time. So that works for me. And then that kind of led me down this path of, okay, like you said, like we both love helping people. But there are so many other ways to help people other than being a doctor. And what I actually genuinely enjoy is conversations with people and kind of helping them further along with their journey. And just me growing myself, I kind of collected this toolkit of things that work for different situations. So I find that like when ever since I was young, I always felt like I was a keeper of secrets because people would just tell me things and I'm like, have you told this to anybody? And they're like, no, never. And so I figured coaching, because coaching helps people move forward, which is what I love. And somehow people just feel safe with me to reveal their secrets.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously there's something I would say to your personality where people can develop that trust very easily, and that's why they've shared those secrets with you. It actually just made me think of this time in college where I had had so many women girls, young women, college age women come to me for relationship advice, and I never understood that at the time, because I was like, you realize that I'm not in a relationship. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, why are you coming to me for advice? Like, I'm the last person you should talk about this. And I guess it goes the same way as, like, I was just a trustworthy person for them to talk things through with, and that's ultimately what goes into the coaching sphere as well. I mean, I definitely approach the privacy of my clients in the coaching world very similar to the privacy of my patients in back in the medicine days. So I can see how that translates for you. So so besides yoga, then how did you come across coaching, and what was that transformation like for you?
Mm, um, well, I turned to coaching myself when I was feeling stuck. Like I was practicing medicine and I was just like, I feel like I lost my spark for life. I didn't feel like I was excited about life, and I just felt like I was going with the motions. So I had already tried therapy, and I think therapy is for some people, but I just felt like um, to I wanted to try something different. So that's when I seeked out coaching, and it kind of helped me snap out of that moment in my life, that time in my life, and helped me move forward in what I was seeking. And then I would always tell my husband, and now we know that coaches don't give advice, but I would always tell my husband, like, if someone would just pay me to give them advice, that would be like my perfect job, because I have all these great ideas. But as you know, in coaching school, we don't do that. We don't give advice. Um, so yeah, and then this is kind of well, I'll this is a story that I've shared with a few people, but I did during this time I was also into like spiritual mediums, and I saw a medium and I asked her about my career, like what am I supposed to do? And like what's next for me? And she just said, "Does light mean anything to you?" And I said, "That means nothing to me." And then so I it just, stayed there in like the corner there. And then after a month or so, that's when I started to look into coaching programs. And and then me and you both were part of Lumia. And Lumia was the one that resonated with me the most out of all the coaching programs I looked up. And then Lumia means light. So I was like, okay, so does this have anything to do with the medium that I saw? And so just to be precise, I reached out to Lumia. I was like, where did you come up with the name Lumia? And they're like, oh, it's because of a light. Like we're like shining a light on our clients, and we're also serving as a lighthouse for our clients. And that was when I was like, no way, this is crazy. And so I looked up when I saw the medium and when I had that first initial consult call with Lumia. And I saw the medium a month before I even knew about Lumia. Um, so at some point I was just like, okay, I have to sign up. It was like an all body experience for me. I just couldn't, it was like I couldn't sleep unless I signed up for the coaching program. And now here we are.
Yeah, that's a wild story. I mean, that's by far the most fascinating story that I've ever heard about how someone got into Lumia. But I love it. That's so cool. And you found the light
I know.
that shined,
Yes.
on your own path. So that's absolutely fantastic. But I do want to go back to a few things you said. One is, yes, therapy is important for some people, and I don't know what your life experience is like. I can tell you, I personally have depression, and I've been through a variety of suicidal thoughts over the years. I've been through several rounds of therapy. I've been on 7 different antidepressants over the course of my life. Therapy has never done the trick for me. And the big thing for me has always been, can we please stop talking about my past? It's done, it's over. I can't change anything. I need to figure out what I can do today to create a better tomorrow for myself. And therapy was just never able to do that because it was so focused on the past. And it wasn't until I discovered coaching for myself that has the future oriented look that light bulbs went off for me, right? I saw the light all of a sudden. I was like, holy cow, this is exactly what I've been looking for. And that really then changed a lot of my transformation. But the other thing that you mentioned too is, as coaches, we're really not here to tell anybody how to live their lives. As a matter of fact, I had a post out today on LinkedIn where I gave all the examples of all the mistakes that I've made in my life and why I'm not here to give advice, right? Because my life is just riddled with so many mistakes and things that I did so poorly. That's fantastic. So how long ago did you go through Lumia then?
How long ago? I graduated just August of last year, I think.
Okay,
Yeah, recently.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so also fairly recently, right? So yeah, I just finished the signature portion in December, so I'm not that far behind you, I guess, in that sense. What did you think of the program? Like, what did the program help you with that you didn't really know and understand, not just about coaching, but even about yourself beforehand?
Mm. Yeah, it really gave me the tools to be there for my community, and it also taught me like how to be a better doctor in the way of like motivational interviewing. And it helped me and my husband, just because I'm able to ask better questions and be there for him when he's going through something. And personally, I know it's not for everybody, but I feel like even though maybe people don't want to be a coach, the coaching program is still helpful because it allows us it gave us the tools of like how to ask the right questions and how to just hold space. Um, and like these things, I feel like I was good at it before, but after the program, it just gave me better tools to, I guess, draw wisdom out of like my friends, my family, and my husband,
Yeah,
and even my
I
patients. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I think going through the program definitely made me a more conscientious and empathetic physician, which coming from a surgical world is sometimes hard to believe how a surgeon is empathetic and wanting to spend time with his patients. Um, but it ultimately also it really gave me two insights. One is not every patient that came in the door actually wanted help. Some of them really just want some time. Some of them just want the band-aid. Some of them really don't care that they're there. And there's some people who actually are looking for ways to get better. And it's not everybody that shows their head in your office that actually is looking for a real change in their lives. Which ultimately translates even with my coaching practice now. I'm more selective in who I'm trying to work with, right? Because I only work with people who are actually looking to better themselves, right? If you're showing up and aren't willing to put in the hard work, I'm not going to work with you. But the other thing, and that was really the one of the biggest frustrations I ended up having with medicine, why I left, was I didn't get to spend the time with patients that they really deserve and desire. Right, 80% of my time is spent at a keyboard hacking away to create documentation so that some other entity can make money off of the patient's problem. And me, as the physician, I don't even get to spend enough time with the patient to truly understand who they are, where they're coming from, and how I can actually help them. So that was definitely one of the big drivers for me to actually leave medicine. But what's been the impact for you there? Because I feel like, I mean, that's one of the things I love about coaching, right? You could spend as much time as you want with someone, but in medicine we don't have that
Yes.
necessarily.
Yes. I totally agree with you. So prior to the trip with my husband to Asia, I was actually working as a doctor still, and I would burn out on a daily basis just because it was one patient after the other. And as a highly empathetic person, I was really with the patient. Like rather than seeing like, their foot issue, so I'm a podiatrist, their foot issue, I would see um them being a smoker, like them also being diabetic, and like just seeing the patient holistically, like, okay, what led to this? Okay, and then I would see things like fast food everywhere, more access to fast food than like healthy foods. So just thinking like that on a daily basis, one after the other, did burn me out. And so this time around, when I went back to practicing medicine, I definitely wanted to do something differently so that I don't burn out. And that tiredness is still there, but I did become a positive intelligence coach. And some practices that I've been using from that practice is embracing medicine as a way for me to interact with my community in this other way. Like the patients that come in, they're totally different from like the people who would come in for a yoga teaching class or the people who would hire me as a coach. They're totally different. They're people like in the community, everyday people working at the supermarket, mailmen, mailwomen, all sorts of people. So I saw it as a way to like just for me to be with the interconnectedness of like more people. And I really made that short amount of time with each patient a time to be present with them. And when I notice that I'm not present, like I'm focusing on like, oh my God, my notes, I have to work on my notes. Oh my gosh, I'm like 10 to 20 minutes late now, things like that. That's when I notice that I'm more tired. But when I slow down, when I focus on my breathing, when I ground like into my feet with the patient there, I'm noticing that the workday just goes by so much more easeful and more in flow than it was before.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with each and every thing you just said. I mean, yes, absolutely, wholeheartedly agree. The last few years I actually spent my primary practice in wound care, so there's probably a lot of patients that could have crossed paths into both of our offices. And but I agree with you. I mean, especially in wound care, it's there's the obvious problem, which is the hole in the skin, but there's so many underlying problems that lead to that hole being there and not being able to close up. I had this, my best example is this guy. He's got heart failure. He's a 3 pack a day smoker, uncontrolled diabetic, and he's got multiple foot wounds that just kept getting worse over time. And instead of, and I've worked with him, he was in the clinic pretty much every week. And even his son was like, Dad, you got to stop smoking. You got to eat better. You got to control your sugars, right? And he just did his own thing. I'm like, what do you expect me to do here, right? Coming back to the sort of the coaching thing is, yeah, yes, I'm a physician. I have some knowledge. I can help you do this. But at the end of the day, it's your problem. It's your foot. It's your life. It's not mine. I'm going to go home with intact skin today. You're not. So what are you going to do differently to change your disposition life to make this happen? Because I can't do anything if you're not going to, right? And that's sort of lost, I feel like, in medicine a lot of times, where people put all the weight on the physicians to find the answers to fix a problem when they themselves are not willing to do the hard work. And that's one of the things that I much prefer coaching, because the clients know that they have to do the work, right? I'm just here as a guide. I can make some recommendations. I can use some tools, but at the end of the day, you have to be the one to do the work, because it's your life and it's your problem, and you're going to need to find a way to fix it. I can just help you, and I can shine the light in the right direction, but it's on you to move up and walk, using some podiatry terms there. So, tell me about this positive inquiry coaching that you do. I'm not sure that I
Hmm.
heard that right.
Yeah, it's called positive intelligence. It's mostly meant, yeah, it's mostly like mental fitness. And it's a whole program. Like the foundational program is about 6 weeks. And basically, we work on, it's as if you go to the gym to work out a muscle, per se. It's like going to the gym to work out our minds so that thoughts and feelings we aren't controlled by our thoughts or feelings. Rather, we are aware of them and we don't let them take the reins of our lives. And so it's like going to the gym for your mind. And the idea is that we all have something called saboteurs. Sometimes like we're like really hard on ourselves or really hard on other people or really hard on our situations. Like we're judging like, oh, okay, like I'm not enough or you're not enough or this situation is not enough or I will be happy when X happens. So kind of being recognizing those thoughts and feelings and even like people pleasing or hyper achieving all of these things and like taking action on these thoughts that are not genuine and authentic to us. In positive intelligence, we call it our sage. Um, so we try to recognize those thoughts and we try to strengthen our sage. And that is the practice. And it's helped me a ton. It went from like throughout my trip in Asia, like it's like me and my husband's first year in marriage. And basically like I would every time we had a conflict, an avoider, so I would just think, oh, we married too early, um we should just get a divorce. I would look up annulment and like divorce. And then there was one time on this trip, and this was after I did the program myself, that we had a conflict. And then after the conflict I smiled, and my husband was like, why are you smiling? And I'm like, because this is the first time I'm not having those thoughts of divorce. And he was like, you've been having those thoughts? And it just and just because he read on Reddit, apparently it's normal thoughts, but the fact that I didn't have them for the first time in a long time, I was just so like in joy because I'm like, oh my God, the program worked. Like I'm not having those thoughts anymore. I'm not wanting to run away anymore, which is I'm a strong avoider. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and again, I can relate to that so much. I too have been very much an avoider in most of my previous relationships, and it comes about this short discussion I had today on LinkedIn on optimism, and it made me kind of think a little bit more deeply where I come from with this. And I was actually raised in a very pessimistic household. Everything was always no, you can't do that. That's not a possibility, right? No was sort of the operative word for everything. And it's really taken me a lot of hard work and energy to try to figure out what is something good that I can see in every situation. And it's taken a lot of practice, but I've really come to a point where I see good things in every situation. And there's people in my life who are still very pessimistic and they seem the world is going against them. And then I come at it and say, well, actually, here's something good that came out of the situation. They're like, nah, can't say that. So it is a powerful mindset shift though, to go from that negative, which is sort of naturally in tune with us, to the positive though. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's exactly the sage mindset. Like, what is the gift and opportunity in this situation? And like for those people that you mentioned, maybe they're not there yet, but I would love to believe that you planted a seed so that when they go home, they're like, you know what, Felix was right about that. Like that is like that is the gift in this situation. It's not all bad.
And that's exactly the way I look at it too. Is obviously you can't change mindsets that are so deeply ingrained overnight. I mean, some people can, but for the most part, these really deeply held beliefs are really hard to unwind sometimes. But what I've also come to find with a lot of those people in the beginning, it was very much like, "Ah, you're so wrong. You should be thinking about this," and poor me. But what I've also come to realize in the last few months or so, there's been usually the next day or the day after, I get a message saying, you know what, you had a good point actually. I'm going to see if I can think about this differently. So yeah, you're right. At least I'm trying to throw some seeds out there into the world of spreading some positivity, right, little by little by little, because that's ultimately the way to change these deeply ingrained beliefs. So, but coming back to this positive intelligence and your coaching practice, like who are your ideal clients? Like who should reach out to you? Who do you like to work with?
Yeah, I love to work with hyperachievers, overachievers who are seeking happiness and fulfillment without achieving more.
Yeah. And then do you do that mostly through positive intelligence coaching, or is there some other, you know, tool, technique, framework that you've been utilizing?
Yeah. Yeah. So have found that when I put my clients through the program, it's it does the heavy lifting for me. And and when we come together on a one-on-one basis, we are able to move through anything they come with so much more ease and flow with our sessions. So yes, I primarily do positive intelligence just because I found such a profound effect on me. And me being like a personal development junkie, I've tried a lot of different things, and this is the one that has given me results fast and sustainably.
Yeah. So tell me about this program then that you have put together.
Yeah, sure. It's a 6 week program. There's like 1 hour of lecture videos per week. And then daily though, there's something called a PQ rep. And basically it's 2 minute breaks throughout your whole day where you're either tuning into your breath, either like doing some somatic exercises, like really feeling your body, and or it's like paying attention to sounds, visuals, just really getting in tune with yourself and your environment. And you do this for 2 minutes and broken up in like 3 or 4 sessions per day. And then and each week there's a theme. So the first week you focus on recognizing those limiting beliefs, those limiting thoughts. And then the second week, you focus on that judge voice in you. Some people have called this also like their inner bully. And like you can also give that voice a name. And then the third week, there's also like something called an accomplice saboteurs, which is like that hyperachiever part or the avoider part or the people pleaser part. Usually we each have like a really strong accomplice saboteur that helps our judge. And then the following weeks, we really tap into our sage mode, which is that part of us that can see the gift and opportunity in every situation. And there's also like all these other ways to tap into our sage that in the following weeks. And then that's basically the program. And my husband's in it right now. I'm like so thrilled about it. I've been sharing it with as many people as I can just because I've noticed such a big shift in myself. Like it's how I'm able to go back into medicine without burning out. It's how I'm able to just appreciate where I am right now. Um, yeah, and then it's just allowed me to have a better marriage, a better friendship, better familyship. Yeah, all around positive benefits.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. I love that. I'm curious, and this is more from medical professional to medical professional. Um, I'm wondering what your perspectives are on coaching other medical professionals. Have you done it? Is that part of your clientele? What's been your experience with other medical folks coming in as clients?
Other medical folks as clients. I haven't had another healthcare professional as a client, but I have had um, someone non-medical with a doctorate, and she's also a hyperachiever. And I was working with her before this program for such a long time, and there was a lot of voices like, I'm not capable, I'm not enough. What if I fail publicly? Um, and I'm sure a lot of us feel this way too, myself included. And I was working with her, coaching with her, following all the things I learned in coaching school. And what really worked for her was the program. Um, and she wasn't even done with it. It was like week 3, and she was just like, "Oh my gosh, like I feel fine. Like nothing outside happened. It was all internal, and the internal work is the hardest work. Um, and I just love it because it's like nothing has to change. It's just nothing outside has to change. It's the inside work that we do on ourselves that changes, and that changes how we see and view our lives externally."
Yeah, yeah. The reason I was asking the question, when I started opening, my coaching practice doors, I came from obviously my own career burnout, and so I put a program together on burnout, and I was kind of peddling it mostly to and towards other medical professionals, and I really found no takers. And over time, what I've also come to realize is, even looking back at my own experience. We're really trained, especially on the physician side of things, to not ask for help. It's always no, no, no. This is your patient. You're the physician. It's your responsibility for you to come up with a problem. So we're sort of conditioned not to ask for help, and yet. being in this high stress environment where literally people's lives and limbs are in danger, having some supportive structure is so important to build that empathy, to build those connections with patients. Coaching can really elevate a physician's life, like to an extent that I don't even think we can quantify. But it's a really hard sell when we're trained not to ask for help, not to accept help from others. So that's where I'm coming from. That's why I was asking the question, what your experience was like, because I've really found medical professionals, even like the people I was working with the last couple of years, when I said I'm leaving to go into coaching, they're like, huh, what's a coach? What does that do? Why would you do that? There's a lot of ignorance and just lack of knowledge, I think, for what coaching can really do, and it's a real shame because ultimately the patient is the one that suffers, and we can really elevate the work other physicians do through coaching. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I have some questions for you. I wrote a networking book a few months ago, and it's not a textbook. It's more like an old school friendship journal that you give to someone, and they answer questions about who they are and what they do. It's really changed the way I network, and I wouldn't be surprised if indirectly somehow you and I are connected because of the book right now. But there's some fun questions in there, so I'm gonna just ask you a few of them. What is a place you haven't been to yet but really want to go?
Patagonia.
Ooh, that's a new one. Tell me more about Patagonia.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, every time I see photos of it, it just looks not real. And I love nature. Anytime I go on a trip, I would prefer more nature-centered trips. And Patagonia just seems like an untouched part of the world. It's like in Chile and Argentina, and I think that's the primary countries. But yeah, I would love to go there. And I heard that like the Patagonia multi-day hike isn't bad. And I've already done the Inca Trail, and people said that was worse than Patagonia. So yeah, I would love to go to Patagonia and just
That's
be
so
immersed in
cool.
nature. Yeah.
Like Arndt Hadenbrock, who's another fellow Lumia alum. He's been to Argentina, but he hasn't been to like Bariloche. So he has mentioned Argentina before, but no one has specifically mentioned Patagonia before. I guess let me ask you a coaching question. Why haven't you gone yet? What's been holding you back?
What's holding me back? Time, I guess. Time and money, because I just got back from a 10-month trip in Asia. So now we're like just, saving up again. But yeah, as soon as we're more settled, like financially, I think that would maybe be our next trip. Like I'm really itching to go.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. So, with your travels, I'm going to ask you a question that's in the second edition, that's not out in the current version. But what's a food that you really like that other people may find odd?
Hmm. Malaysian food. And when I went to Malaysia on this trip, my mouth tasted things it's never tasted before. And there's not a lot of Malaysian restaurants. Even the restaurant in New York, I would say it's still not as good as if you go to Malaysia, the country itself, and have food there. Like even the Chinese food there is different. The Indian food is there is different. Just because I didn't realize how multicultural Malaysia is. And so it's like Malays, it's the indigenous people there, and then it's Chinese and Indian, and like it's like all their foods influenced by each other. So it's flavors I've never had before. And when I mention that to people here in the States, are they usually have not tried Malaysian food yet. And if they have, it's usually one of the restaurants here, which is not as good as it is over there.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I was trying to wreck my brain while you were just telling me about Malaysian food. Have I ever had Malaysian food? I can't say I have. But the other thing I think I would think there's two reasons why food tastes different in different countries. One is there's a huge cultural component to food, right? A huge social component to food. And if you're not in the right environment, even if you have the same food in two different environments, it's going to taste different. So I think that's one of the big things. So you can never truly be authentic unless you're in that country, but in those social circles. But the other component that I've even like started thinking about in the wound care practice, for example, is if you think about our bodies are 70% water. And we know that if you take the same recipe for beer or bread and you use a different water source, the outcome will be different. We have never really looked into that in the medicine world, right? How does the water supply, the local water supply, other than, like Flint, Michigan, let's say, but how does the local water supply affect our outcomes in medicine, our wound care medicine, right? What is in the water that could potentially be affecting all the chemistry, which could also affect how food tastes, and how our bodies react to food as well. So, it's you really think we're 70% water, and we're not looking at water like that at all, even from a medical science perspective. So, I don't know, fascinating areas of research. But now I got to put Malaysian food somewhere on my list, which means I probably need to travel to Malaysia to to check it out. Uh, well, my last question for you, and I'll tag it on with the travel side of things. Since you've been in different places, would you rather take a cold shower on a hot day or a hot bath on a cold day?
Hot bath on a cold day.
All right. Fair enough. Although, the Bay Area is warmer. Patagonia, I guess, if you're up in the mountains, that can get pretty chilly. Malaysia
Yeah.
seems kind of warmer climate too.
Tropical.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Because
So
even
you
on
definitely.
hot days, oh, I was gonna say, even hot days, I like to take hot showers.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's quite all right. That's what. So Javaname Reese, she's a high school principal and also a life coach who's now in Brunei. And she works actually as a teacher in Brunei, but she also has a life coaching practice. And she was also saying, look, the weather's tropical, and I still wear sweaters because I'm always cold. So I
Hmm.
seems to be a somewhat common theme here. All right. So the other thing I started doing now quite some time ago, I don't remember when I started, but every guest has the opportunity to ask the next guest a question, not knowing who that person is or when we're going to record. So Haim Ohayan left you the following question to answer. What's holding you back from doing what you want to be doing today? Kind of goes back, I guess, to my question about Patagonia a little bit, right? But what is holding you back from doing what you want to be doing today?
Felix, I would say I'm actually doing what I want to be doing on a daily basis. I am, yeah, I'm pretty content. I follow my days based on how I feel and what I feel like doing. And if I don't feel like doing something in that particular moment, I just move it and I just do something else.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. You're just in full control of your life. You live it with intentions. You align your actions. That's perfect. That's how we all should live our lives. Well, it's your opportunity now to ask the next guest your question.
Hmm. Okay. Wow. Whatever is your biggest struggle right now in life, what what is the gift and opportunity in that struggle and obstacle right now?
Awesome. So whatever that biggest struggle in your lives right now, what is the gift or opportunity in that struggle for you right now? That's awesome. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
think about that
Circling
myself.
back.
Yes, that's awesome. Still, I'll have to watch whatever episode comes after yours to figure out what the answer is and who it is. Because honestly, I don't even know right now. So that's fantastic. Vivian, how can people reach out to you if they want to connect?
Yeah, just vivianvocoaching.com and you'll be able to find all my links on my website.
So cool. I'll make sure those links are in the description below for anyone to find more easily and readily and connect with you. That's so awesome. Thanks for being here. Any final words you have for the world today?
Any final words? Yeah, I'll leave with an affirmation that I've been using for years now. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Feel the fear and do it anyways. I love it. That's awesome. Awesome. Vivian, thank you so much for being here. This was a wonderful conversation. I can't thank you enough for doing this. Have an amazing rest of the day, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Felix.
All right, I really hope you enjoyed that. The questions that I asked towards the end are from my new book, The Simple Networking Tool. It's a great book that redefines how we network. It's all about who someone is and not what they are. So if you want to get your own book, it's available on Amazon. If you want to learn more, there's videos about it here on YouTube. So you can check out this amazing new social science experiment. I'm so excited for it. If you do get a book and you do start your own, please let me know how it goes and what your experience is like. I'm working on the second edition and I want to make it the best one yet. So be sure to tag me, let me know how it goes. Thanks for watching.